Hey everybody, welcome to my channel and welcome to my garden. On today's video, I'm going to give a full garden tour for the month of June. So I'm so excited that you stopped by today to come hang with me in the garden. If you're new here, my name is Barbara. I live in Tennessee and I'm in zone 7B. So as we go throughout the video, you'll be able to see what we're growing at this time of the year, at the very end of June, what's doing well, what's not doing well, some of the challenges we've been facing, and then some successes that we've had. So if you're in my zone, great. If you're not in my zone, still follow along because I'm sure that you can compare and contrast, and I hope that your gardens are doing well also. So if you're new here, let me kind of give you some background on what you're going to see today. So for a full garden tour, we actually have three main garden spaces that we grow in. So we're starting here in the back of my house. And this is where my garden first started 5 years ago, which is wild to me. Before that, I had never put my hands in dirt. And so literally on this channel, you're seeing my journey in real life as I learn how to grow food and how to grow it abundantly. Now, I wish I would have started my YouTube channel when I first started gardening, but I didn't. I was already like a couple of years in by the time I started my YouTube channel. But on every video, we're learning, we're growing, we're sharing tips and strategies on how to grow food, how to preserve, how to make things from scratch, and how to live off of your land and how to live a homesteading lifestyle. So 5 years ago, I started in my backyard. I knew nothing about growing food. And I say that because if you're watching me and you're a beginner gardener, I want to tell you that there is hope, that the more you do it, the more you're going to learn and the more you will gain confidence. But I remember it was April 2020 when I knelt down by my beds and put in the first crops. So that's what we're going to show you today, this first area, and then we'll move on to the other two spaces. So first space, like I said, when we first started this, my husband and my son built me 4 raised beds. A year later, we added a 5th raised bed, so you'll see that. But we also have green stalks back here. We have 5 green stalks. 5 green stalks. We have 4 that are the regular size, and then I don't know if you can see that one peeking between the yellow and the lilac is a 3-tier green stalk. And so this is a way to do container gardening if you have very little space. Now we live on a lot of land, and so space is not an issue for us, but I still like growing in the green stalk. So if you're not familiar with green stalk, I have several videos on it. The link will be down below. You can go check out the website. They actually do have a sale going on right now. You can use my code LFF10 to get an extra $10 off. So the sale right now, all the planters are on sale. So if you don't have a green stalk and you're in the market for one, or you want to add to your collection, go check out the sale and also check out the color that just returned, which is the rusted garden red. So in my green stalks, I only use those in the summertime, and this space back here, we only grow in the summertime, and I mean, primarily in the summertime. In the fall, we plant our garlic, and in the spring, we do our onions. But when it comes to the summer garden, our other 2 spaces are really the highlight of the summer garden. But let me take you around here and show you what I have growing here in the back of the house, the reason why it's back here, what I'm growing, when I planted it, and all the stuff. So here are all of my green stalks right here. Mostly of my green stalks are herbs and flowers. I do have a couple of tomatoes that are dwarf tomatoes, and I also have a couple of small peppers, but mostly it is all herbs and flowers. Now, at the top of each of these green stalks, I had onions growing in the spring. I've already harvested those. They did not bulb up very, very big, but I took what I harvested and it made a whole freeze-dryer tray of diced onions. I freeze dried those, and I got me a whole pint-sized jar of onion powder that is so concentrated in flavor and tastes so good. So nothing goes to waste. So even though they didn't bulb up really big in the green stalks, and that could have been because of fertilization over, a lot of rain and that kind of stuff, I still was able to get onions. They were like on the small side, not even medium, but like small. But they did bulb up. They just weren't that very big. But we had plenty of onions. If you didn't catch that, we did a big onion harvest day, and we harvested over 400 onions. So we're not short on onions over here in this neck of the woods. But I won't take you through every green stalk. I'll just kind of spin around. So one of the things that I'm most proud of in the green stalk are these petunias right here. This is my first time. I actually grew these petunias from seed. You can see as I kind of spin it around, there's the pretty pink and the white color. So I'm very, very proud of those. In the top, like I said, were onions, but I just re-sowed green beans in the tops of all of these green stalks. So they have not started growing yet, but hopefully on the next video we will have green beans growing at the tops of all of these. In this green stalk here, you can see my lavender is going crazy. I have some chamomile here. I have lots of parsley. I have nasturtium here. Here I have some oregano. Again, more petunias. I have some thyme here. So this is pretty much full. I just harvested some sage earlier today that I needed. But all of these open spots are going to be green beans. And this green stalk, pretty much the same thing. I do have a couple of peppers. And then I harvested the first tomato off of the green stalk earlier this week. This is some lettuce that is hanging on for dear life, but it's too hot out here for the lettuce. You can see that it's getting tall, but we've harvested a ton of lettuce from the green stalk. This right here is the 3-tier, and this is nothing but mostly flowers in this one. So it's really just for decor. I do have a couple of herbs peeking out right there, but mostly this is just flowers. I got some purple basil. And then this last green stalk is, again, the same thing, mostly flowers, herbs, and then I do have a couple of tomatoes that you can see starting to grow right there. Okay, so we'll start with bed number 1 here. And so on the far side is celery, and that won't be in here long because with the heat, it'll start to get bitter. So I've been selling that, as well as I need to harvest the rest of it. So I got 2 celery stalks there, 1 left right here. I have the marigold right here that I grew from seed. It's doing really, really well. I have a zinnia that's being tore up right now by Japanese beetles. This row right here are all peppers. They're looking really good. They haven't started growing anything yet. And then these 2 rows in the middle is where I sowed green beans. They're just now starting to come up. So here's a close-up shot of all the stuff. And these peppers, y'all, were peppers that I started from seed. Everything pretty much I started from seed. But these are the peppers that were hanging on for dear life in my tunnel, and that I didn't sell. I didn't have anywhere to put them. And y'all, they hung on barely until I put them out here. They were looking pitiful when I first planted them, but I fertilized them. They're greening up and they're doing fine. So that worked out really, really well. And then y'all look, my first chamomile. I'm so excited. Now you can see that there, it looks like it's dying on that end. Now I had this whole back row of chamomile. I had 4 chamomiles here, and they all did this and kept dying. Like the whole thing would be brown. But this one, you can see part of it is hanging on, and I actually have flowers that I need to harvest. So y'all, this is my first time doing chamomile. So let's talk about this chamomile. So it's my first time ever successfully growing chamomile, so I'm really excited. I plan to use it for teas and things like that instead of buying it from the store, because that's what I traditionally have done. But this is what I don't know. So I harvested some flowers earlier this week, and I let them kind of dry on a plate. But as soon as, they dry, it's like they shrivel up. So like right now, you can see the yellow center and the petals, but as soon as they dried, it's like you can only really see the yellow center. Is that what's supposed to do? Like the petals almost seem like they just dissipated, for lack of a better term. And again, the flowers are so small. So let me know if that's the way it's supposed to look. And then also let me know if you guys just let yours air dry, meaning like on a plate, or outside, or do you freeze dry them or dehydrate them? And again, what do they look like once it's done? Is it just like the little ball petal? Let me know if I'm doing this right, because I've never done it before. Let's move on to the other bed. Okay, I'm really proud of this bed too, because this whole bed are leftover plants that I started again back in March and April. These are the ones that were on my greenhouse floor that, remember, I couldn't sell. I couldn't get rid of them. I still had plants. I was trying to find something to do with them. I had stuck them in all the places that I could, and I still had these left over. Again, when I put them out here, they looked horrible. They were brown. They were sickly looking. But look at it now. With some fertilization, room to grow, and sun, y'all, we have stuff growing out here, and this bed looks really good. So let me take you off the tripod and I'll show you up close what's growing. So we have some zucchini growing there, looking good. We have another zucchini growing there. Here are some peppers. These are some chili peppers that I got from a plant swap earlier this year, so I've never grown those kind. Let me see. This is an Anaheim pepper. It's my first time growing that. That's an Anaheim. Then I have some Roma tomato plants. Again, I got these on a clearance sale. I need to probably put a stake in these. But I got these on a clearance sale. They were looking real bad. I think I probably paid $1/4 for those. But look at them now. They will produce tomatoes. I got some flowers back here on the backdrop. There's some celosia and some zinnias. And then over on this side, we have some squash. You can see I got a tiny little squash growing right there. Another zucchini. And then these are some peppers as well that I got from a plant swap. These weeds, because of all the rain, are just out of control. So I'm trying to stay on top of it as much as possible. But y'all, I think this bed is looking good. Squash, zucchini, and tomatoes and peppers and flowers all in the same bed. And right now, everything is looking really good. So then the next 3 beds are sweet potatoes. You guys were with me when we started these. Sweet potatoes, I've tripled my sweet potato production. So I normally do 1 bed of sweet potatoes, but now I have 3. So in this bed here, in the first 2 rows are Bayou Bell. This last row is Caragold. This whole bed right here is Beauregard. And y'all remember when we planted this bed, I was complaining because none of the slips had leaves. But y'all look, the leaves have appeared. So we have leaves on most of these. And then this very last bed right here is the Evangeline. That's a new one for me as well. So the only one I've ever grown before is the Beauregard, but here I have a couple of new kinds, and you see so far they're looking okay. That is the first space, which is behind the house. I think things are looking good, no complaints. Again, you guys know if you've been following me, we've had a ton. We've had 40 days and 40 nights of rain nonstop. This week, the temperature has been really, really high because of the heat wave that's going on across the country. And so we went from soaking wet rain to heat wave. So we're just pressing on because that's one thing we can't control is the weather. But overall, things back here are looking good. The sweet potatoes will be here for a while until the first frost, basically because they take about 100 days to grow, and they've only been in the ground about a week and a half. The other stuff, again, the squash and the zucchini, this is just, again, to supplement what I already have out there. So what I use these beds for, so again, in the fall, like in October, November, I use these beds for garlic. So I usually do 3 beds of garlic, then I'll have 2 beds of just like fall flowers. And then in the spring, those 2 beds of fall flowers, I will do our onions. And so then the onions and the garlic both come to harvest around the first week of June. We pull those out like we did. I showed you those videos before. And then we succession plant our peppers, tomatoes, squash, and zucchini, and we are doing our sweet potatoes back here. So again, this is like the succession part of the summer versus everything else that you're going to see was planted like the end of April. But most of this stuff was planted at the beginning of June. So this is our first space. Again, this space will always be close to my heart because this is where my garden started. But then I got a little happy and I thought, I need some more gardening space. So let's go see what other gardening space I have. Okay, so now we're in the second space that we grow in, which is our high tunnel. I love the high tunnel. I love all the spaces, but the high tunnel, I love it because we grow in here year round, 24/7, 365 days a year. We are growing food in here. So this is the one place on the farm that there is always food growing. So in our high tunnel, it is a 30 by 96 high tunnel. We have 6 raised beds that I'm going to take you through. We have some containers between the beds and things like that. And then we also have 5 rows of in-ground space, and each of those rows are about 45 feet long. So we're doing a mixture of things in the ground, in raised beds. We have wooden raised beds in here as well as metal raised beds. We have containers, so we have some grow bags. So we're growing in all the different types of mediums. I just don't have a green stalk down here, but don't worry, it's coming. It is coming. So let me take you through what's growing down here. And again, for the summer, this was the space that was planted first. So everything in here from a summer perspective was mostly planted around the 1st or 2nd week of April, because again, because of the temperatures and the season extension, we can plant things in here a lot sooner than we can outside. And then also in the fall, we'll start planting our fall crops usually around September-ish, the first part of September. So even though some of this stuff will still be going strong, by then we will start taking some of it out to make room for the fall crops so that we have a long extension period for the fall crops. But let me show you what I have in each bed and how things are going in June, in the summer, and the high tunnel. So this first bed is mostly herbs, and there was some flowers tucked in as well. But you can see the celery has gone bonkers. Again, there's probably at least 6 or 7 celery in there that I need to get out, because again, celery really doesn't like a lot of high heat. But you can see that it has grown very nicely. And I have not harvested nearly as much as what I have. And then here we have some lavender that is just going wild as well. We got some lettuce tucked in there. That's one of our last lettuces. And then behind that lavender, we do have some thyme that you can't see. Let me take you on the other side. Here's our parsley tucked into the corner. We have harvested a ton of parsley. Here are some chives. We've harvested a ton of chives. There is some lemon thyme and some regular thyme right there. More celery that needs to come out. And then we have our eucalyptus tree. And then we have a nasturtium tucked in the back there just for like pest control. So this bed has done extremely, extremely well. Like, y'all, this celery is absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. This next bed is what we call our pollinator patch, because it's nothing but flowers. But look how stunning. That's coleus that we grew from seed. That's some zinnias. Look at that. They're absolutely stunning. Now, I have not come out here to harvest flowers yet, which is a shame. But, you know, something has to give sometimes. This is a new celosia flower. It's called Yellow Queen. It's like, it looks kind of fuzzy, but it's so pretty. And then this celosia is called Green Sylphid. That's a new one. I don't think I'm a fan of that one. So that was a one-time try. And then you can see the rest of these. And then we got some cinnamon basil here that has gone to flower. And then we have some calendula back here as well. And you can see my sunflower has been eaten up, but that's okay. We'll pull that out, because we got plenty of stuff chock full in this bed. But this brings the bees in. It's for beauty, and it allows me to harvest flowers all throughout the summer to put in my house. This next bed here is where we had our potatoes. We had russet potatoes and Yukon Gold. We have harvested those. That is a snapdragon that we actually did in the fall that has bloomed and keeps blooming. So it is so, so pretty. We kept that in there. We had more snapdragons. We took the rest of those out. And then now in the bed, we have sowed green beans. So we have 4 rows of green beans. I still see some open spots where I didn't get germination. So I'll go back in and re-sow more green beans. But you can see the green beans are coming up nicely. And then here is just another celosia plant and a marigold. Okay, so in this bed here are our non-spicy peppers. You can see a nasturtium is tucked in the corner. I pruned this back yesterday, which I don't even know if you can prune nasturtium, but I did, because it was all out in the aisleway, just trailing, tripping people up. But it is growing so good. Oh, I see there's a bee or a wasp. This plant right here is the Ajvarsky pepper. You can see how big that gets. It'll turn red. It's a red roasting pepper. There is some basil, cinnamon basil. There's a flower tucked in here. Here is my banana peppers. They are quite prolific. I only did one banana pepper plant, and I've already harvested tons and got a whole jar of pickled peppers. Back there is more basil, purple basil, regular basil, plenty of basil in this bed. And like I said, there's some peppers. There's another pepper right there. We have more celery on this side. This is the same bed. The celery did phenomenal this year. And then we have some more basil. And then this is a pepper plant. It just hasn't, we got some flowers, but we don't have any peppers yet. So this bed, and like you'll see, the theme in every bed is that we have herbs, flowers, and vegetables because we really focus on companion planting. And then look at that pretty marigold tucked in back there as well. So moving on to this bed, the open space that you see here is where the dill and the cilantro was. We just pulled that out this week because it had flowered and gone to seed. This lettuce is hanging on, but it needs to come out. And then so what I did to backfill where the dill was is I put some jalapeno peppers. There's 4 jalapeno peppers there. And then here I have an eggplant it has some holes in it, but it's still looking okay. It's still hanging on so far. And then look at this pretty flower. This is a dwarf sunflower, which is really, really pretty there. And then this is a Roma tomato. And I have about 3 Roma tomato plants in this bed. I've already harvested 1 Roma tomato already, but you can see I have more coming. Peppers. There's another Roma tomato as well. Now let me take you on the other side. This right here is holy basil that I need to harvest. This is my first time growing it. So this is a great medicinal plant, and I heard that it's really good for tea and stuff. My Roma tomato is going kind of wild. I need to stake that as well. Y'all can see that some of my zinnias are being tore up by these Japanese beetles, which is rare. I don't usually have that, but you can see I got more damage right there, but that's okay. Okay, so this bed here, this is the 3rd bed. I have some rosemary that is doing well, and then this lavender. I just cut a ton of lavender. You can see there it is going. This is the best my lavender has ever done. It's 2 new varieties I got from Baker Creek, origami, and I don't remember the name of the other one, but it's done really, really well. But y'all, I don't know what to do with my lavender. So I harvest it and I dry it, and I'm assuming I dry the whole stem, not just the flower part, right? Somebody help me out, because I don't know if I'm doing it right. Okay, and so then I have eggplant in this bed, and I do have some eggplants forming, which is a first. I have 3 down there that just haven't turned colors, but then I also have 1 right there, and I think I have another one in here somewhere. Let's see. Yep, another one, another 2 right there. So it's coming along, and this eggplant is surrounded by basil and thyme. And again, this is the first time my eggplant has ever done anything, so we're thankful. Here is a tall pepper plant. This is a Anaheim. Now, I've never pruned my pepper plants at all. I know that some people do. This one is growing really, really tall. And I want to say this is an Anaheim maybe, which I've never grown Anaheim before. So I got some peppers. You can see there. But it's really, really tall. I need to see if I can find the tag to make sure it is Anaheim. Anaheim peppers stay green, right? They don't turn red, I'm assuming. I hope this is Anaheim. I cannot find a tag. It is so bushy in here. And then I have some jalapeno peppers back there. But yeah, these plants are growing so tall. So I need to look that up and see. Y'all, does that look like an Anaheim pepper? I think that's what it is. I think that's what I planted there, but I can't be for sure. But you know what? This whole bed is spicy peppers. And Anaheim It's not that spicy. Y'all, I can't remember. I gotta see if I can find a tag. You know, labeling is fundamental. I'm watching these bees. Labeling is fundamental. And I'm pretty sure I have a tag in there. I just can't see it. So y'all tell me if you prune your peppers, and if so, why? I've never seen my pepper plants get that tall, especially in a raised bed. Especially this soon. Huh. And Anaheim, the reason why I want to do Anaheim is because I wanted to make green chilies. And that has like a little bit of spice. So in my mind, would I have thought that was spicy and put in the spicy pepper bed? I think so. Because it doesn't look like the cayenne that I grow. Y'all help me out. Let me know. Okay, so you've seen the raised beds. Now let me show you what's in my containers around the beds. And then I'll take you to see what's in ground growing also in the tunnel. So in our first set of containers, this is lemon balm. It's growing very, very nicely. Lemon balm is great for digestion if you're taking it internally. If you're using it externally, you can make it into a salve, and it's good for any type of skin irritation. We actually sell lemon balm salve that we make from the lemon balm in our garden. And then this is yarrow. This is my first time growing yarrow, and man, that didn't take long. It is absolutely pretty. And yarrow can be used medicinally as well. I've never used it before, never had it. But I think it's also good for digestion. I need to look it up. Don't quote me. But I'm glad to have it in the garden, and we'll figure out what we're supposed to do with it. And then across the way, over here is our mint. So we've harvested a ton of mint and dried it. This right here is spearmint, which is good and lush. Across here we have strawberry mint and peppermint, more lemon balm. Here we have a small leaf gum eucalyptus for the first time that we're trying. It's growing slowly, but that's usually how they start out. This is a eucalyptus that we transplanted. I don't see any green yet. We'll give it to the end of the year. If nothing happens, I'll get rid of it. No big deal. But you can see this is the queen of eucalyptus. She's been here for 3 years. Grew this from seed. I did not know eucalyptus was a tree when I was growing it. She severely needs to be harvested and all of that. And then this is our comfrey plant right there. And y'all, my comfrey experiment worked. I'll tell you about that a little bit later. And then this metal raised bed here is sage and oregano. You can see it is absolutely full of sage. I use sage more for cooking, but sage does have some medicinal properties as well. And then we have a little bit of lavender there, but mostly it's all oregano and sage in this bed. So in terms of my comfrey experiment, if you've been here, you know that I took root cuttings from my comfrey in the early spring, and I yielded tons and tons of root cuttings. And people have been asking me to sell the root cuttings. I am selling the root cuttings. It is on our website, livingfoodsfarm.com. You get a pack of 3. I think it's for $18. But the reason why I was hesitating on doing the root cuttings because I wanted to make sure myself that you could grow plants from the root cuttings. So on a previous video about a month ago, I did 9 plants of root cuttings. I showed on the video, it's like a 1-inch size, so the cuttings are not very big, but it's a 1-inch size, and we planted them all together. You guys saw that. Well, I wanted you to know that all 9 rooted, and they are beautiful, doing well. I've sold all, but I think I only have 4 left. I'll pop a picture up here so that you can see all 9 germinated. They all looked good. It took about 3.5 weeks for me to start seeing something. I was thinking it was not working, and I was about to just throw in the towel. And then one day I looked, I was like, wait a minute, I see something. And then once I saw something, it kind of like just took off. So if you want comfrey root cuttings, you can go to my website and get some. No, it's going to be 1-inch size pieces, and no, that's going to take you at least 3.5 to 4 weeks before you see anything, probably. So anyway, let's keep on with the tour, and let me show you what's growing in ground in the tunnel. Okay, so we have 3 rows here on this side, and then we have 2 rows here. So it's divided up. 2 rows are bell peppers, and then the last row is half cucumbers. So let me just take you down the bell pepper row, let you see how things are looking. We have tons of bell peppers popping up. These are all a hybrid variety. You can see I'm just waiting for them to turn colors. You can use them green, but I like for them to be red, yellow, or orange. But you can see tons and tons of peppers. All of these are growing nice. And again, peppers are usually later to the game. They're usually much slower, but then once they take off, and they usually hit their peak. For me, usually August and September is when I have the bulk of them, not June and July. But they're all looking good. Very, very good. No disease. No pest damage. All the way down on these 2 rows. There's some sunflowers. They're just there for looks. And then, let me show you the last row. On the last row is a mixture of jalapeno peppers that are growing nicely. Some flowers. That one is one that was old that I just popped in here. It needs some fertilization, as you can see. And then this rest are the cucumbers. We have harvested at least, y'all, at least 150 cucumbers, at least. And we're still getting them. We harvested, I don't know, another 40 or so years. We probably harvested 200 cucumbers. But you can see they're starting to look bad in terms of the leaves. You can see that there, which is typical for cucumbers, especially in high heat. Like this down here, you can see doesn't look as good. But that's very typical when it comes to cucumbers. They have been in here again for 2 months now. And like I said, we've harvested a ton, but they will not make it all summer long. We have had great production from the cucumbers, but what I have noticed this season is that we have had more that have been, when I say deformed, like it's been curved, and that shouldn't be, or we've had a few that have been like thin at the top and then kind of bloated at the bottom. But the rest, and I would say that probably accounts for, I would say maybe 25% of the cucumbers that we have harvested. The other 75% have been picture perfect and have been in abundance. Now, the tags got screwed up on the cucumbers, so I don't know exactly what varieties are planted, except 2. I know the Katrina cucumber is in there, which is a greenhouse specific cucumber, and then I think this is a shimmy, or one that is close to it, which is a long English cucumber. The other ones I'm not so sure. So I can't complain because we've had a ton, like more than what we could even eat. We're always in excess of cucumbers, and I have a customer who's been buying literally cucumbers she's buying like 50, 60 at a time every week, and I still have counters full of cucumbers just because they're producing that many. Now, they'll be on their way out, I would say the next week or so, maybe 2 weeks. I may let them stay, then I will pull those out. But I've already restarted more cucumbers from a succession planning standpoint. So that's what I do with cucumbers. I usually do 2 successions of cucumbers because I know that's how they're going to look. And again, the temperatures have been insane this week, like insane. So I'm not worried about it. We got plenty of cucumbers. I got enough to make pickle relish, and pretty much between pickles, I already made pickles, and pickle relish, I'm good for what I need for cucumbers. The rest is I just using cucumber water and doing other odds and ends with the cucumber. So no big deal on that one. Now let me show you the last 2 rows in the high tunnel, which are our tomatoes. Okay, y'all, we have harvested a ton of cherry tomatoes in the last week. They kind of just started coming on by the droves. And then in terms of the slicing type tomatoes, we just started harvesting those that were blushing this past week, and we probably have harvested, I would say maybe 15 or so. With the cherry tomatoes, we probably have harvested, I don't know, well over 100. But you can see they're a nice size. This is a mix of different kinds of tomatoes. So for cherry tomatoes, we are mostly did in here Sakura and the large red cherry. And then for slicing tomatoes, we did the Rebelski, we did Cayman, we have some Cherokee Carbon. That may be outside. But you can see overall, they're doing A-okay. They are just now starting to blush on some of them. You can see that there. But I love the Rebelski variety. It is tried and true because as you can see, all the tomatoes are uniform, picture perfect. Now we have had some hornworm damage that I've showed you in previous videos, and we've treated for that, but I have not seen any in the last, I don't know, week or so. So we're still moving on. And like you said, I mean, like you can see, we have plenty tomatoes. So both rows are tomatoes on both sides. You can see we got plenty of cherry tomatoes. We're harvesting these every day by the buckets. I just harvested yesterday and there's still more to be harvested. So that's the tour of the high tunnel. Overall, things are going pretty well. Some of the things that are on me is definitely most of my basil has gone to seed just because I'm not harvesting it fast enough. And again, I'm not using that much basil. I have tons of basil, a lot of it for, you know, just for, what am I trying to say? For pest control or just the scent of it and just to fill in spaces. But I have more basil than I could ever use or even sell at this point. And it's hard to sell basil because once you clip it, it's hard to keep it fresh for the customer, especially if I'm going to meet them like the next day or something like that. And then because you can't put it in the fridge, it turns black and all that. So anyway, that's definitely on me. I need to come out here and harvest even when I can't use the herbs, which is bad. Sometimes you just have to harvest it so that you can keep it from going to seed or keep it from bolting. So that's definitely something that I need to do. This space has been fertilized pretty well, pretty much on schedule every week or so, because the rain hasn't really affected in here because we can get in here even though it's raining. So it does not suffer as much because of the weather with it being inside versus outside. Now the extreme heat obviously, greenhouses get real hot. So even when it may be 90 degrees outside, it's nothing but, you know, it could be 120 in here. But that is why, especially for like my peppers and my tomatoes, I specifically do hybrid greenhouse varieties that are able to withstand high heat and high humidity. So they're specifically for the greenhouse. And so I think that helps a ton. If I was doing just all heirloom peppers and tomatoes in here, I would have way more disease and I would have less production for sure. So you have to kind of know what your goals are, what you're doing, what you're growing in to know what type of crop. And then it's a trial and error. You find crops that work good for some people that don't work good for you. And then when you find a crop that works, hey, stay with it. Stay with it. So that is this space. Overall, doing well. I got some maintenance to do, like I'm sure we all do. So let me show you the third and final space of this garden tour. Okay, our third and final space is our outside in-ground garden. This space is 4,000 square feet. We have 8 rows that are 100 feet long. And so, like I told you, it started with me gardening in the back of my house with 4 raised beds. In 5 years, like I told you, I got a little happy. I just kept adding space. So we've had this space, I think, for 3 years. Now this is our 3rd summer growing in it. And we only use this space in the summertime. So we do not use it for the fall and the winter. All of that stuff happens in the high tunnel. So I'm always excited to use this space because we only use it once a year. And even though this is way more work than any of the other spaces, I love growing outside in the ground. So let me show you around what we have. So we'll start here in this space here that's empty. This is where our corn was. We harvested our corn a week ago and we have already pulled up the stalks. If you didn't see, that was on a previous video. We harvested about, I think, 60 ears of corn. It's already processed in the freezer and we've already started more corn to do as a succession. So we've pulled this up. We will amend these holes some more with nitrogen and we will put more corn in probably in a couple of weeks once it gets a little bit bigger. But let me take you behind where the corn was and show you what else is in this row. So behind where the corn was, we have our okra. We have 12 okra plants. I think last year we did 8 to 10 and that was plenty. Somehow a few more snuck in because okra is a diva. We all know that when she's ready to be picked, she's ready to be picked. So you can see we just started getting okra coming in. Like that literally just happened this week. That's our first little signs of okra. So I got to come back and get that because, you know, next week tomorrow she'll be supersized. But the okra plants overall are doing okay. Then here we have these 4 raised beds. One bed is nothing but flowers, but in all these other 3 beds, we had our onions, as well as onions behind the house. So we've harvested those. And then in this bed here, I've planted, again, these are some jalapeno plants that I got on clearance because I needed more jalapenos. So you can see they're looking a little rough. They just got in here a couple of days ago, but once we fertilize, I hope that they will be a-okay. And then in the back of this, I sowed some green bean seeds that hopefully will germinate over the next few days. So that's this bed here. This bed is nothing but flowers. And then I got some thyme back there growing real nice that I need to come and harvest. That's some lemon thyme. These are petunias I grew from seed, calendula. So this is just like a little mini pollinator patch. These 2 beds are empty. We're going to do a fall round of potatoes in these 2 beds right here. So they'll be empty until we do potatoes in the next probably 30 days or so. Okay, so this next row is our spicy pepper row. I keep the spicy and non-spicy peppers separate. And so this row, y'all, has really, really, really struggled. I do have, you know, things happening like that's cayenne and things like that. But the production on this row has been less than stellar. But we're hoping that we can make up for lost time. There's cayennes on this row. There's jalapenos. And another kind of pepper that I can't recall right now. And then there's some basil and some herbs and things like that. But let me kind of tell you what's going on with this row. So there's definitely been an overall theme of we've had a lot of rain, but I don't think that's the culprit of this row. This row right here was literally overtaken with weeds. We have cleared the weeds out now. And so you can actually see the plant, but y'all, you can even see the plant versus the weeds. So I think the weeds definitely choked the plant out, the nutrients and everything else. So the plants are looking very scraggly. Now, also, they haven't been fertilized in like 2 to 3 weeks. Why? Because of the rain. We have not been able to be out here consistently. It's like little spurts, we're in and we're out. And so they have not been fertilized, this whole garden. And so it is definitely affecting some of the quality and the production of the plants. But hopefully it will be fertilized in the next 24 to 48 hours as we kind of mellow out with the temperatures and stuff. And so this row, like I said, has struggled a whole lot. We have harvested a few peppers, but like hardly anything like what it's supposed to. But we still have them in the ground. They're still green. They're not brown. So there is still hope for this row. This next row is our tomato row. So we have a whole row of tomatoes, and it's mixed with paste tomatoes, slicing tomatoes, and cherry tomatoes. Overall, we've harvested a ton of cherry tomatoes. We have not harvested one slicing tomato as of yet from this row. They're taking a little bit longer to blush than in the tunnel. Now in the tunnel, we had some hornworms out here. I had aphids that we had to deal with. I have not seen any aphids in the last few days, so they're doing okay. And so the tomatoes look good. I'll walk you down this row so that you can see. We're just waiting on them to start blushing and producing more. So you can see we have plenty of tomatoes on the vine, and so far they're looking good. These are mostly Amish paste, these big thick ones that you see. Oh, I see some damage in this one right here. We'll take that one out. Oh, and then you can see this. Now we have had some sun scald. Now I've never had sun scald on my tomatoes. I've had it mostly on my peppers, but we have seen sun scald again because of the extreme heat this week. That just happened this week. But overall, you can see we got them all pruned. Again, you can see some damage there. Oh yeah, I just saw this. This is new. This is a hornworm for sure. You can tell by it being eaten right there. So I need to find the hornworm. You can't speak too soon. I couldn't find it, but that's definitely hornworm damage right there. So I'll have to keep looking. This right here This is a new tomato called Cosmic Burst. It's supposed to turn like a red, but they're producing quite well. We haven't harvested any yet. But yeah, I see some tomatoes that definitely have eaten, and that's usually not the case. Again, I don't know if that's the cause of fertilization, water, I'm not sure. But overall, they're not all bad. I have a ton that can be harvested, I see, that are the cherry tomatoes for sure. But again, right here, you can see the parts that are exposed to the sun. We have some sun scald. Okay, this next row right beside it is the non-spicy pepper row. This row has struggled as well. Look at my purple basil. That's just sun right there. But it has struggled as well. And I'm not 100% sure why. Like, something has definitely been eating some of these. But this was also overtaken by weeds as well. Like, that's a weed right there. That's the actual plant. See what I mean? There's some peppers there. I think that's the ahi crystal pepper. This is supposed to be a bell pepper. The bell peppers that are coming off are smaller than what they should be, but I have harvested probably 10 peppers from this row as well. But this row has definitely struggled for sure. You see, we have a lot of open spaces because when we pulled the weeds, there was either not a plant there or the plant was so destroyed that we couldn't keep it. So I have some open spaces in this row where there were plants, but the weeds just kind of overtook. So I bought some more bell peppers. Again, there's still like a plant store that's close to me that is having their stuff on clearance. I just been going over there getting stuff, and I'll fill in some of these spaces with some more bell peppers, but we'll see if we can get these recovered. More basil. Now, this next row is the squash and zucchini row. Same thing. It's been on the struggle bus, although we have harvested quite a bit, but it has been overrun with squash bug eggs and actual squash bugs. I pulled up a couple of plants already, but the squash have produced well. The zucchini has been very, very slow this year, and last year was the reverse. Look at this. You can see we've treated this like 2 or 3 times, and the squash bugs are definitely look like they're winning. So I'm gonna try one more time, but I don't know if it's too far gone. And the one that I'm really most concerned about is this one that's like a honey nut squash, because I haven't even harvested anything off of this one yet. Those I've harvested a ton, so I'm less concerned, and I already have those restarted from a succession standpoint, so we can put more in the ground. But this whole row has been a challenge. And you can see I got some squash there that look good. But the zucchinis, I didn't plant as many zucchinis, but you can see, look at the zucchini plant. And it did not have, when we looked, it did not have any squash bug damage, but yet it has not produced well at all. I want to say I might have harvested 10 zucchini, and I've probably harvested 60 squash. So very, very different. So definitely not the best showing on those 2 rows, but that's part of it, y'all. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose a lot. Now, when it comes to squash, I have not found anything with squash bugs that's gonna make them not show up and not wreak havoc. But you can succession plant in my area because we have such a long growing season. So I will succession plant, but I'm almost thinking that next year what I may try is to not even do squash at the beginning of the season and wait until later on. Because if you wait till like August, September, when the vine borer has left and the squash bugs, you won't have to contend with as much pest pressure. I always can't wait to have the squash, so I do it in the beginning. But I wonder if I should do my green beans where I have the squash and do a succession. Y'all, Lexi done got her a cucumber that I done threw over the thing, and she got it in her mouth. Anyway, I wonder where I have the row of squash, it may be better for me to do green beans and get a whole bunch of green beans at one time and maybe do 2 successions of those, and then the last succession in that row be squashed so I don't have to deal with the pests and can get more of a yield. I don't know. That's the best thing I can come up with. Now, I already have squash and zucchini plants, so we will pull this up. It probably won't even be here another week, and we'll just pull it up, and it'll just be bare until we can put the other stuff in the ground. Disappointing, but that's kind of what happens. Let me know how your squash and zucchini is doing as well. And again, it doesn't look good, but from a squash perspective, I really can't complain because we've harvested a ton of squash, more than we could eat, for sure, and more than I need to preserve, because I'll already still have, I think I have 2 bags of squash left in my freezer from last year, and I did one and it was okay, but really for those types of things like the squash in the freezer, I really prefer to use it within 6 months. I really don't want it to last a whole year. I just rather go the last 6 months and not have squash. So I don't need a ton of squash because we don't eat it a lot during the year. But in the summertime, I prefer to just eat it fresh while we still have it, you know, coming in, and we just eat it every week. But anyway, let me show you the last 3 rows. Okay, this row right here is a mix. 50% of the row is purple hull peas. You can see they are doing well so far. We already have a few forming there. So it goes all the way down. And then on the other side of that, we have our cucumbers. And then we have some tomatoes. So we'll walk down here. This is my first time doing cucumbers outside in this space. And you can see I have some open spots for purple hull peas because we had a hard time with germination. So I'm gonna re-sow and see if I can fill in these open spots. I hate seeing open spots. I want every hole to be filled. So you can see I re-sowed some, and there's one growing right there. There's another one growing there. But then this is where we get into the tomatoes. I just pruned this row, so it's looking better, but it hasn't produced anything as of yet. The cucumbers, we've harvested a ton of cucumbers, but you can see they look very much like the ones inside. They've gotten way too much water. Here's some more right here. That one looks okay. But harvested a ton. This is what I mean about, you see some of them are curved. I don't know. That's like pollination issue. And then some of them, I just didn't get that one in time. And then the rest are the tomatoes down here. These tomatoes look better than the ones right in front of this space. Again, some more sun-scald there. But these are Amish paste, and they're doing okay. Now let's move on to the next to the last row. We got a few watermelons planted on this row just because we had extra. They're not really supposed to technically be in this row, but we had extras. I didn't want to throw them away. So you can see some watermelons are already forming there. But here's the real watermelon row right here. This whole row up here, y'all, that's actually not weeds. These are actually all watermelon vines. So half of the row is watermelons and half of it is cantaloupe. So you can see that they are growing, vining, all the things, getting bigger. As you can see, we have several growing. And then this row that I'm in right here is the pollinator row. I have flowers. Because I have the space, I can do that. But this is a beautiful celosia. Another celosia. Another celosia. This is an ornamental grass that's gone wild. I like it when it's not as wild. Oh, that's watermelons way over here. Watermelons need a lot of space, which is why I give them all of this space. There's 3 feet on each side. Watermelons tucked in everywhere. So this row is all flowers, as you can see. So I need to come out here and harvest and make some bouquets. The sunflowers are looking bad, but the rest of the flowers look pretty good. And then this row right beside it, like I said, are watermelons and cantaloupe. So the cantaloupe starts right in here. You can see we already have some cantaloupe forming there. Plenty of flowers. So hopefully we will have a great cantaloupe and watermelon harvest. These flowers are stunning. This is a whole weed that needs to come out. Okay, y'all, that is it. That is a full garden tour. A couple of I guess notes about this particular space. Again, it's outside, it's getting direct sun most of the day, and we've had a ton of rain. So some of that is causing some of the quality of the crops to look bad. The rain, the intense heat, and then also they have not been fertilized as regular as those in there. But overall, we still have food. And so it's not a complete loss or a complete wash. The squash and the zucchini, we kind of expect that, but again, we can plant more. So again, all is not lost. And so I wanted to say that because if you're experiencing some of the same things in your area, and especially if you have a long growing season, you can do a lot of things over again. Your squash, your zucchini, your cucumbers, your basil, your sunflowers, all that stuff you can do over again and give it another go. And as the temperatures get cooler, you'll tend to have a lot less pest pressure. But one thing that we can't control is the weather. We can control how we show up, when we show up, what we plant, all that, but we cannot control the weather. So we do the best that we can with what we have, and we hope and we pray for the best. So overall, again, there's some disappointments and things that just don't look good, but overall, I'm still pleased with how things are turning out. We are still harvesting a ton of food. We're not at peak yet, but my counters right now are covered. And again, peak season for us is usually around July. So this is still the beginning of the season for us. We have our first frost date is not until October. So we still got some miles to go before we call it a wrap for the summer. But I hope that your gardens are doing well. If you have any questions about any varieties that I've planted or what I'm doing, or any tips, please share with me and the rest of the group. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. I would love for you to be a part of this community. Remember, y'all, gardening is a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time, friend.